Sarah, we are
We're
on.
here. We're on.
Did you say we're recording next week or not? I forgot already.
I don't even know what next week is.
Mother's Day, apparently.
I'm trying to make sure I know what today is.
It's a Hallmark holiday that we love.
Hallmark holiday. It's the holiday that all the men in my house forget every year. Yeah,
Okay.
let's not talk about Mother's Day. It's okay. I'm not bitter. I'm good.
No, I'm. Yeah.
There's no bitterness here. I
I'm a
didn't
lot
give
of things,
birth to 4 children,
Yeah.
2 of them without drugs. I don't need Mother's Day.
So, is that? Hey, by the way, Lori Day, Sarah Jenkins here, 2 broadcasters.
By the way, you've tuned into a podcast if you didn't already know.
So are we or are we not recording next week?
I'm going with no.
Okay, I'm going no. Okay.
All right.
All right. Okay, so here we are, Sarah. We are you've been under a deadline. I've been under a deadline. I've been under it. Let's just say
you're going under. We're both going under.
I am definitely. I have felt over the last few weeks that I was going under, but lo and behold, here I am. Here I am, still here.
You're still kicking,
here,
still swinging,
and still what?
Salty.
My friend,
if you're not on YouTube, what she's showing right now is her new salty hat, which is epically awesome.
Well, and it matches my shirt, but you nixed it. Okay. My friend Sarah, I'm not my friend Sarah. You're my friend Sarah. My friend Marcy, and Marcy, she was just on a cruise and she couldn't resist this. So shout out to you, Marcy.
I love that.
The salty hat
too.
is perfect, but my producer has nixed that. So, and my brother told me I looked like I had abuse, like I had bruises on my forehead because of shadows. And it's like, yeah, okay.
We just can't see you when you wear the hat. But I have to say, and everyone, please get on YouTube and check out this episode, even for just a moment, because that color, that is your color. Okay. By the way, my pen matches your shirt, but you look incredible in that aquamarine color, whatever we're calling that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's a Mediterranean and a kind of I feel like a desert color suits me fine. Where am I? Let's go there now.
Everyone should see this color on you. I'm not kidding. I'm not saying it. I'm not trying to get people to look at us on YouTube. I'm serious. Like it's fantastic.
Because listen, ladies and gentlemen, once you peeked in for the color, thumbs up or thumbs down, you're kind of going, yeah, okay, that broad.
Like and subscribe if you think that's a great color on Lori.
And just subscribe. If you go on YouTube just to subscribe, if you never want to go and look at it again, we would appreciate the likes and the subscribes and the subscribes and all that.
And if you don't, that's fine. Just take my word for it. I'm an honest person. She looks incredible right now. Okay.
Well, honey, thank you. You're adorable for saying so. I appreciate you. And
I appreciate you.
Let me just say this too, Sarah. Speaking of, what were we speaking of? We're speaking of you're producing and my hat looks bad. Signing up for YouTube subscription. I'm going to do it and I'm going to tell you the reason why I've been under it. Okay. Cause I just survived a move, just moving.
You did. You have survived.
Correct. But and we're going to be talking about stuff. All right. We're going to be talking about Swedish Death Cleaning. That's right. We're just send in the Swedish Death Cleaners. This is what I'm saying.
This is it.
I want to live with a Swedish Death Cleaner. Like I want a Swedish Death Cleaner person to be there every time I make a purchase.
I just heard you say I need to get a plane ticket to Nebraska to come be with you.
Okay, that's
what I heard.
That's a fine interpretation.
That's what I got out of that.
That is a fine interpretation, and you missed your window of the big house with the tons of room, but we'll still make it work, Sarah. But speaking of housekeeping, I'm going to say a couple things that I thought was funny. I don't know if we've mentioned this, but all of a sudden the 2 broads kind of have a lot of going on as far as downloads, even when we haven't been showing up. So, and Sarah, there used to be a time where, different countries and all that occupied, how you go to next page. It was a choice of this page or that page. We're on 7 pages now. But here's some anomalies. And I think this must be some kind of like bot headquarters-y thing. I don't know what's happening. even that is probably, in the weird world we live in, a good sign. I don't know. I don't understand how any of that works. But here's what I want to know. Why do we have 343 downloads in Vietnam? Like in the last couple weeks.
Listen, they love us in Vietnam. We are Soul Nom. Okay.
Soul nominate. All right.
Nom.
So I'm soul nominating Vietnam as the newest onboarding big fat numbers.
Go Vietnam. I'm all for it. Listen, shout out.
It is a shout
my
out.
Vietnamese friends.
So that's what we're saying. And we're like double digits in Bangladesh.
Okay.
Iraq.
I have some clothes from Bangladesh.
They have a good clothing textile business.
They do a textile market. Yeah,
100%.
they do. Yeah.
Sarah, there's some countries we're being downloaded in Pakistan, Jordan, Ecuador, almost all of the South American countries now, which is crazy.
It's that Venezuelan episode we did. Everybody's like, we gotta pay attention to these bras.
Yeah, but we have more downloads in Colombia, and then we just got Ecuador just got us about 10 downloads in the last week. Okay, we're in Egypt, but Ukraine, all over the place. But I want to say this: have you ever heard of Azerbaijan?
Oh yeah.
Where is it?
It's Azerbaijan. It's some.
Well, it's AZ.
Yeah, Azerbaijan.
There's another one called
Uzbekistan. Yeah.
That's a different
one.
I'm
a geography nerd. I'm a nothing right now. I'm a geography nerd.
Okay, but
yeah, they're in. Okay, I shouldn't have said.
Are they close together?
No.
Okay.
Well, they're not. So that's over in the. It's in the continent of Asia. It's in the Middle Eastern. It's in the.
Which one? Azerbaijan.
Both
are.
I believe. So I say I'm a geography nerd. I can't pull it up in my visually in my brain right now, but I can see them close up on a map. But I can't zoom out to go, this is exactly where they are. But
I want to go and see. Maybe I'm visiting there. I don't know. But we had Azerbaijan, and
everybody's tuning out right now.
Listen, shout out to you, and God help us if we're saying it wrong. I say that mostly to me. But we had 4 downloads.
Bijan, yeah. Sorry. How many downloads?
4.
Hey,
more than one. Which.
Shout out to you all. And I do know where you are, I promise. And we thank you from your corner of the map that you've tuned into our show.
And if you have an airport there, I'm looking for weird places to go. And I say weird by not overrun with tourism. That's a good kind of weird I'm talking. All right. So I don't know what the language is.
It's either Eastern Europe or it's Asia.
I felt like it was Eastern Europe.
I was just gonna say because it's either Eastern Europe over in like where they would have near the Cyrillic alphabet zones, or
where I feel like Uzbekistan is. I feel like Azerbaijan might be somewhere else.
Not long ago, I looked at both of these on a map. Okay, I kid you not. In my brain, like I said, I'm zoomed in and I can't zoom out. So I go visually, and it's
Sarah. Okay. If I didn't love water so much, I would be AI in that right now, but I'm not. All right, I'm gonna look it up old school style.
There you go. I know, and we used to have this big right off. So if you're on YouTube, I'm pointing a direction in my home right now. We had this huge world map right over here on the wall. And it was so great because anytime I wanted to like remember anything or check something, I just walk over here to this wall and I could just like look at it. But we took it down. But I have a bunch of maps in the house. I'm a map person.
I like maps too.
Love maps.
All right. So anyway, I just want to say thank you to everybody downloading wherever you are from. And what are we doing right now?
What about the U.S.? Where are my U.S. peeps? Are you guys tuning in?
Well, we have the most downloads in the U.S., but
okay, great. Just want to make sure.
Goes without saying. However, after 4 years, there should be a heck of a lot more. I'm just
I
saying.
know. What are you people are
But
sleeping. Come on, wake up, wake up. We got things to talk about. We're gonna talk. We gotta talk
you
about
got,
some things. All right, all right, all right, all right. Come on.
let's discuss. All
Let's
right.
discuss all things. All right.
So, Sarah, what we're discussing today, besides being kind of excited about just, I still like it blows my mind that some place in some country, Paraguay, wherever, I mean, it's all just crazy to
Oh, I
me,
like Paraguay.
is
Paraguay.
downloading these two broadcasters. Anyway, thank you for all the
Yes, thank
downloads.
you. The long and short of that one was thank you. Thank all of that to say gracias. Thank
That's
you.
it. In all the languages. Thank you so
All the
much.
languages.
It's
Yes.
just fun. And so, yeah, I just love it so much. You know, you just sit here with cans and you look at each other and you might have a guest and you just get in your world and you know, but you don't know what happens beyond that. You don't know what happens when you close the app, the platform, that you have no idea who's listening where at any given time, what they're taking from it, what they're, you know, if they're sharing it, did it move them? Did they, you know, and it just, to me, I just am I'll never not be giddy about that whole thing, you know, and
Yeah,
I just
I
love.
love that it allows us to have a conversation with so many different people, and that's what's exciting. And we may not always know who we're having a conversation with, but I just want our audience to know that, like, we're not just speaking to each other. We're not just coming out here to like talk to each other and then like send it off into the ether, right? Like we're coming here every week. We're showing up every week to have a conversation with all of you who are listening. Like you're as much a part of the show as, and there would be nothing without our listeners. And so we just thank you so much. And like, thank you for joining the conversation.
100%.
Absolutely.
100%. And you can email us show ideas, comments, questions, anything at any time at the2broadcasters@gmail.com. So send us emails, you know, and then you can find us on the socials. And literally, it helps us if you will, you know, follow us on your podcast platform of choice, and then you'll know of any recent downloads. But it just, it helps us. And feel free to, you know, leave us a score there or something. Gary, okay, whatever, it's enough.
Yeah.
Sarah, I've survived the move. And, you know, one of the things I keep thinking about is,
So
I wonder at my age, how many more moves I have. Listen, the longest I've ever been anywhere in my life was 12 years, maybe 12 and a half years is the longest I've ever lived in the same house.
Oh,
so,
wow. Yeah. Just trying to making me think. Yeah.
We moved a fair amount when I was a kid. So, you know, it wasn't like I grew up in the same house or the same two houses. No. And
yeah,
then when
I did. So that's
and then when I was a young adult,
everywhere.
Okay. So I don't even know. I don't even think I could ever remember some of them. So I've moved a lot. So yeah, that's been a real looming question. I wonder how many more of these there are, which of course, then you go, you know, that stuff, I'm just really don't. And I love stuff as much as the next person, right? I love aesthetics. So I love my art. I love the things that I like that bring me joy, that bring color. I'm a big color person. I love style. I love architect. I love all the things about residences and things. But at the same time, Sarah, we love things too much, I think. And I don't know if we have enough really standout things. And we just have a lot of what I call in the gray zone things. They're not that special. They're just, you know, I don't know. I've downsized quite a bit. And then this most recent move, which absorbed a couple people in with it and a ton of square footage, brought a few more things than what I moved here with into the picture again. So I was desperate to try and offload things again to get to my post Nashville weight of things. And I don't think I've done it. I don't know what's happening. I don't.
Does it amaze you like how much you accumulate over short periods of time when you're not trying to accumulate, but it just never seems to fail, right? Isn't that the continuous thing that people talk about? Like
Yeah.
they got rid of a bunch of stuff and then their intention was to not accumulate that anymore, but it never fails. Somehow I feel like there's like elves or something in the middle of the night
Yeah.
bringing things into your home because
Yeah.
you go, how did I get this much stuff again? You know,
Exactly.
it's
Because I don't shop a lot. I mean, I know how I got a few extraneous pieces of furniture because I cleared out a couple people's homes and stuff, and when I was setting up house again for the first time, I you know, okay, yeah, oh, and I don't have any dishes. Oh, okay, well,
right.
I know how I got some of this stuff, but so now, Sarah, all of my stuff is in a storage unit, and I'm determined that I'm going to keep hacking at it before it
Hmm.
goes anywhere again, which I have no idea where that will be. Doesn't matter. It's a worry for another day. It's not even a worry. It's just I'll know where I'm going when I'm going.
Right.
What I'm doing.
Yeah.
No idea what I'm doing. So there's that. But Sarah, it was a stressful situation. As it always is, okay? Because and I had a lot of dad's stuff, and then you don't know, like,
Hmm.
oh my gosh, dad would have a fit if he thought I was throwing this away or giving it away, or would he? I don't know. Is he mad at
Yes.
me? He doesn't even know I'm doing it. Just a lot of that
Oh,
kind of
that's the hardest part. I had to
guilt
do
vibes.
that. It's like when you're having to offload parents' belongings while they're still alive and just decide what do I need to keep, what can I get rid of. That it's I think that is because it's difficult even when they're not when they're gone and there's a whole bunch of emotional weight there, but like when the parent is still alive and you're having to go through their things.
Yeah,
I had to do that, and it was so monumentally like taxing, like not anxiety, but
it,
it's just stress. It
it's
was
kind
so
of weird.
stressful. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's just a weird zone that I found myself in. Like, just this gets that's like a low level hum, a
Yes,
low level like this doesn't sit
it
quite
felt
right. But
wrong. Yeah, it felt very wrong.
I got to do what I got to do. His room won't take this in. All right, so
Right, right.
anyway, doing what you got to do doesn't always mean that it's easy, or that it feels right. But I know it wasn't wrong. I just know,
Right.
it's just that awkwardness. So this
It's
is
very
why we're
awkward.
we're bringing this conversation, because there's a lot of people going through either being at the age where they need to downsize. Uh, and I my philosophy is start doing this younger. I feel like, if you have a family and you need a certain amount of space, I mean, everybody's different, but all I know is people get caught off guard, and like everything else, we always think we have all the time, in the world, and then you don't. And like, I know
Yeah.
the Swedish death cleaning thing, they usually, like, I think their thing is they suggest that in your 60s, this is something that you for sure need to be doing,
Hmm.
to think about. But, heck, some people don't get to there,
Yeah,
and if
yeah,
you've got kids that are left home already, what are we doing? So we're going to talk about Swedish death
yeah,
cleaning.
yeah.
I think that, it's on the pulse of people. And I also feel like more and more the younger generations, I think, are less into stuff than we were. I'm
Yeah.
not sure about that
It
because they even
depends.
grew up with more consumerism than we did. But I feel like their their um, their lifestyles are a little bit geared a little bit differently.
Hmm.
And I feel like also their reality of the size of the house that they can buy is being geared down some.
Yeah.
And there's the smaller family factor, all of that. I just don't know if they're going to accumulate as much stuff. And all their stuff is stored on tech. Like,
Hmm.
I have boxes and boxes of photos and memorabilia stuff that stuff's kind of on my nerves now. I'm not going to lie about it.
Oh, that's the
Because
one thing I have to hang on to.
but I don't know who I'm holding on to it for, because it's a lot. Like, it's excessive. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I guess it depends on how much there is. I've got quite a few boxes of photos, but they're manageable and they're organized.
Yeah, well,
So, well, it took me time to do that, but like, I don't, well, for me, and I think it depends on the person and the family, because if you're, when you're thinking about, who does this stuff go to? Like, I know that my children, like my sons, especially at least my oldest for sure, but possibly both of them, are going to want those photos. They would have a conniption fit if I got rid of the photos. Right. So like, I know I need them for me, because I want to be able to access them. And then I know that I at least have a generation behind me that wants to access them. After that, it's on them. I'm gone. I mean, I don't, but
yeah.
but I think if you're not in that situation, then that is maybe something to look at putting on a thumb drive and just having that, scanning everything into a thumb drive and having that accessible and not having the actual photo. I know.
That's a month-long scanning party. I know.
Yeah.
I
you don't have to do all of them
happening.
either. I think maybe you pick 10, 20, 50, whatever your thing is, like the ones that matter most. Cause I think too, if you're like me and you've gone through all these family photos, cause I'll tell you, I did get rid of some because boxes of photos that I had to go through, there were duplicates. I'm like, I don't need two. Remember, we always got double prints. Remember back in the day, you take your roll of film, you get the double prints, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't need duplicates. So I got rid of all of those. And then there's like the shots where it's so random and it doesn't even make sense. It's not even a candid photo. It's like, what am I supposed to be looking at? What was this? I got rid of all of that. I kept the ones that were like, I want to know who these people are. Or this has sentimental value, or, oh, this is a beautiful, shot of this person or this family or whatever you like. So, there's a whole lot I think you can weed through too.
Well, I've got to, and I'm not suggesting that I'm burning them all. I'm just saying that I don't know that anybody wants them. And I'm tired of lugging them around, and I don't sit there.
I don't blame you. They're heavy.
And the only time I go through them is when I have something that I'm writing about and I want to access an old photo that maybe I want to throw in the blog or something.
Right.
Or which turns into a too long of a project. And then I get annoyed that I even did that. And then I get annoyed about the amount of the pictures I had to go through to get there.
Yes.
And I get annoyed. And then I don't know. And when you go through a divorce and you have all these gorgeous pictures of that life, as a threesome and stuff, I don't know what to do with that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to keep lugging that around. So I end up looking at this stuff the most when I'm moving, which is already a horrible mind space to
what do you do with that? What do you have the huge framed pictures? Because I've got a huge
several
framed portrait.
I just have lots of portraits.
Well, I think there's some smaller ones too, but there's one in particular I know, and we didn't get rid of it, Lori, because it feels wrong to just throw it away. But I don't know, I don't want it. It's a family portrait of me and my parents, and when I was little. And it's just like, it's that sort of facade of the perfect, happy little family. And I'm like, and that's not what was going on. And every time I look at it, I'm like, this, I don't, this was not a happy family. Right. So it's weird, but you can't get rid of it. So it's like in a bag, in the garage, on a shelf.
I know.
Like, I'm not going to hang that in my house.
It's so weird.
It's so weird.
And a lot of those beautiful pictures that we had matted and framed and all the, the three of us and whatever, they were happy times, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't turn out that, so I don't going to be hanging them on my wall. I mean,
right. Well, and you probably don't want to look at a lot of that. So I think, it's not
weird.
What
do you do with the wedding photos where it was the best day of your life? You know what I'm saying?
Right. And you can't take it to Goodwill because that's weird. Nobody wants your wedding portrait at Goodwill.
It's too weird, man. But anyway, there's
no way to recycle that. You can't recycle your wedding photos.
That's what I'm saying. And people, you need to think about these things. Anybody getting married out there, you need
Oh
to
man.
lock it down. Just
Okay,
stay.
so we should ask our audience if you've been through a divorce, what did you do with the photos? What did you do with the portraits? How did that like?
Yeah,
Did
when
you
people die, you can keep them on your wall, and it's
right?
legit.
But
You
yeah,
know,
this is a different. That's a whole
it's a
different.
different
It's a
animal.
whole
See,
different thing.
but
Yeah.
yet they're taking up space in your basement or listen. The way I live now, I don't necessarily have a basement or
You
a
have.
spare room or any of that. So this is why it just gets down to some brass tacks here. You know,
Yeah.
do I need the 7-foot tall, 5-foot wide,
Oh,
stainless steel
man.
shelving that's just filled with boxes of
Yeah.
photos? I
Well,
don't know,
and
Sarah.
I think it's
So
sort of like when it comes to stuff like that, what is the how do you go what's the mental sort of exercises that you have to do? Like what is okay to do with something like that? Giving yourself permission to like let go of that kind of stuff. And it is like you talk about being weird. It's like, but it does feel like you're just throwing something away. But at the same time, it's really not healthy to keep it either.
correct.
So it's like I guess there has to be some permissions that we're able to
Right.
give ourselves and to give other people to say, I don't even, especially, and this is where we get into like, and I know we'll talk about this, items that are very expensive or that people paid a lot of money for that maybe you can sell something and get money for it. That's great. But like there's a lot of things that you may have invested money into. You spent quite a bit of money on that you can't get that money back, but you're not using it. And people will hold on to stuff because it feels like I can't just give this away to Goodwill or, a thrift store or whatever. I can't just like, because I paid X amount of money for it, and nobody wants it. And I can't, well, so I'm just going to keep it. Why? Because you spent that money and being able to give ourselves, I think, permission to let go of all kinds of things, even the
Mhm.
things that it was a life lesson. Maybe we wish we hadn't spent the money on the thing that we don't need or use, but it's
Mhm.
hard. There's reasons that we keep things,
Exactly.
because
And
we
I don't
don't feel like we can get rid of it.
right. I don't know where the Swedish Death Cleaners stand on this particular item that I brought up. But that was just one of my personal things that was very much on my mind that
Yeah.
I very much want to go through before I'm moving that stuff again. I
You have
like
one of you, don't you?
one
That's
of
just you. Don't you have a wedding portrait that was
a
just
bridal
you?
portrait. Yeah.
Well, I wonder if Ethan might want that.
Well, he says he does,
So things like that, see, then you
but
can
I
find a
don't
way.
know.
But the other stuff, you just kind of have to be like, "Hey, kid, do you want this? Because if not, it's going."
Well, and that's kind of what we're going to drill into about what
Yeah.
Swedish death cleaning is. And I know people though that don't even have kids that have accumulated so much stuff. It's
Oh,
insanity.
yes.
But
Yeah.
particularly if you're in a family unit, and you have offspring, or you have nieces or nephews, or you're close to people that you think that would want your things. They've been around your stuff. You kind of have a feel for what they want. That's what you need to do, is get a feel for who wants some of your stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess my in-laws did a smart thing at one time when we were all just sort of like taken off by surprise by it. But we were over there one time and they were just kind of like, what do you want in the house? If we pass, what would you want? And of course, everybody was just like, nothing. Okay. Nada.
Nothing.
Not a thing.
Not
Okay.
a thing. Oh my goodness.
But she kept it up. She was relentless. She was like, but what about this? You always loved that. It's like, oh, okay. Well, put my initials on it. But
Yeah.
honestly, that's literally what Swedish death cleaners kind of do. Don't they? They like come in and mark your stuff.
It's like like an actual, like you're paying someone to come in and do it. 'Cause
Yeah.
I know the process and like people
Or
who
how
just
they
do it
teach you
on
to
their
do it.
own.
Well,
Yeah.
either way.
And I
But
think
isn't that
I
part
don't
of
think
it?
there's a right or wrong way. Well, yeah, it's definitely you're going to hold on to things that people want. But I would say I would put a caveat in there and say you need to there should be a cap on that, because it should be like, cause see, like I don't have to say, hey, What do you want after I'm gone? Because I've got two sons who constantly go through the house at random and will be like, "Hey, that's mine. When you die, I get that one. You're not getting rid of that, are you? Because I that's going to be mine." And then I'm like, "Okay, calm down." So I think
I was
then
never
there's
like that. I mean,
I
I
don't
don't know.
have to, yeah, I don't have to mark it. They let me know what they want. But I think there should be a cap too, because also I think we can't keep a bunch of things just because somebody else wants them after we're gone. I think then when you're going through
Right.
things, you kind of have to say, do you want it now? Because
Right.
I'm not using it and I'm not going to hang on to it for you. I'm willing to give it to you now.
Hmm.
Because once you've gone through all of the things, like here's what here's what I've whittled down to keep, which we'll get into that. I know, like how you determine what to keep and what to get rid of and how you go through the process, because it's actually, there's stages of this process and you have to do it in layers. It's very important to do it in layers because you
Well,
can't do it all at once.
right. Well, and the first process is just being cool with doing it. Like that's the thing. That's the thing, and then doing it, because most people know
Yeah.
they need to do it. They don't do it, and I think it behooves somebody to involve somebody else in this with them, or you never get it done. But I know that you just do it like a room at a time.
Yeah, yeah, I
And
would say for anybody, bite off even smaller than that, because some people are gonna be really overwhelmed either by just the sheer thought of having to do this or by
Mhm.
the sheer amount of items that they
Right,
have.
and it depends on the room for sure. Yeah.
You might start with a
Mhm.
shelf, you might start with a cabinet, you might start with or if you can do a whole room, if you can do, we did the inside of our house a couple of times, and then we've done the garage twice. And it's funny when you were talking about the beginning of the show, Lori, we're talking about like how you've downsized and then you're having to do it again because you accumulate things. We have done I call it layering. I call it like going through in layers. We've done 2 layers of Swedish death cleaning in the garage. And I was in there the other day and I was like, I think we need to do it again because and I don't know when you want to get into this part. There's a reason why you keep going back multiple times. And because, how you feel about it the first time you go through, the second time you go through, you'll find things that you felt like you had to keep the first time, you're actually able to let go of now. The third
Right.
time you go through. So there is a process to this that you're kind of continually working on it. But I would love to coin a term, Swedish death buying. I would love for all of us to really, I'm serious, think
Right.
about what we're bringing into our homes and into our lives that will actually make the cleaning process that much better, because we are accumulating a lot of things that are not adding value to our lives, that are
Right.
only adding more stress. And we're in an economy right now that just, I mean, it's not going to get better. And, we're looking at like the average pay, and they're talking about the poverty line. There are economists saying that the poverty line should be moved up to 145,000 because yeah, because people making less than that are, it's hard to make ends meet. And I mean, I see it. I see what people are going through. I see the housing prices. I see the car prices. I see the gas prices. I see what people are dealing with and
Mhm.
how much it is costing someone who makes $100,000 now, right now, your buying power is very, very small compared to what it was 10, 20 years ago. And so I think we should be so um, really focused on intentional about what we're bringing into our home. So we're going to be saving money, but we're also not going to have to do as much Swedish death cleaning if we can make sure. And it's not just what we're buying; it's what we're bringing in from the family member who died, the friend who had the moving sale because she was leaving, or there's so many things that come
Right.
into our space that
Mhm.
maybe we didn't even buy. We acquire things in so many different ways, and I think it shouldn't just be about what we're buying. I think it should be what we're acquiring. What
Mhm.
is coming in because we can't, like you've said so many times, Lori, on the show, we're not taking any of this with us. Ain't none of this coming with us when we go, except our memories. The only thing that we're taking with us is all the beautiful memories that we have of the, trips that we've taken, time that we've spent with people we love. So with that in mind, really intentionally looking at all of the things I went through. I'm a clothes horse. I went through and got rid of a ton of clothes about a year or two ago, bags full of clothes. My closet's pretty whittled down. And I'm trying to do where you have all the basic pieces and then you can mix and match. And I'm not completely there yet, but that was a big deal for me. Because I feel like I don't have any clothes, but I have plenty.
Yeah, I've been through that for
clothes,
sure.
So yeah,
it's weird, but here's the one thing I will say though is whenever I got over the tough spots for me, and clothes is one of them. I've never had the level of clothes that I have. Some of my friends do, but I know I have, a closet. I've always had, a sufficient closet that a lot of people would be, oh, wow, and shoes, whatever.
Yeah.
And I will say that I never have had like any regrets. I have gone to go look for an outfit before that I got rid of and go, oh, there was one that got away.
Well, yeah.
And I wish I didn't get away. And it makes me laugh, because I'm actually looking for it, but that happens so rarely.
So it does. And I've got a system for people that they can use for that. But yeah, that it does happen rarely. And I think you're exactly right. That can apply to so many things. Most of the time you're not going to 6 months, a year, 2 years on the road go, oh, I wish I hadn't gotten rid of that. It happens every once in a while.
Yeah. And you don't end up wearing 2/3 of it.
Oh, it's true. It's true. And I
your
think
lifestyle gets locked into the certain kind of look because that's your daily thing. And I mean, what am I doing right now with my life? Okay. I'm in mulch. I'm
on the farm. Well, yeah, I'm traipsing through cow manure.
We're dirt girls.
Yeah, I don't need anything fancy. I got milk all over me. What are you talking about?
I got to pretend on when we come in to do the recordings that I like have something in my wardrobe besides tank tops and
yes.
Listen,
yeah, I usually
Wrangler,
look pretty good on the show. So
yeah,
I got a little, yeah. That's because we record on Sundays, so you're getting the best version.
I feel like in the old days where it's like I got to wash up on Sundays.
Sunday wash day.
You got to get your Sunday cleanup on. I got to look good from the waist up, and not even from the waist. All right, because I might be wearing flip flops or shorts. You don't know what's going on. I'm in the Zoom mode. It's from here up, Sarah. Don't have to worry about the full wardrobe for the cast now with this whole YouTube thing.
It's like during COVID when everybody's wearing like their boxer shorts but they got the tie and the jacket on up here. But if they have to get up from there, it's like, whoa!
Party in the rear. So
don't worry, we're fully clothed on the show, everyone.
We are, but it doesn't mean it matches. It doesn't mean it doesn't.
I do have house shoes on, so I love that I could just roll up. Like I look all put together, and then I've got these big fuzzy house shoes on underneath my desk. So
right. So I think our point is but we buy stuff like we need it. Like we're gonna do change outs 3 times a day.
Yeah, like a Downton Abbey, right? Like you got to dress for dinner.
This is exactly
cruise ship. You've got this is what I wore to breakfast, and then I had to change to go to my port day for my tour, my excursion.
Downton Abbey.
Then I'm changing for dinner. Then I'm changing for the show that evening, and
Oh my God! What do I think I got? A professional dresser over here? Okay, no, I ain't got time. I could use a professional makeup artist at this point. But listen, we're not. This isn't Downton Abbey. That's funny because they were some changing. And listen, I watched the show for the clothes. I like a show that there's wardrobe changes throughout the day because it's part of the reason I'm watching the show. Same.
Oh man.
Yeah, and that's when clothes were closed. But don't get us started. Okay?
Oh yeah, we'll do a whole cast on that.
It might have been when there was a place to wear certain clothes. Now it's just like you can go on a flight in your pajamas. Honestly, you don't even need to have certain levels of types of clothes anymore of the way it looks sometimes.
I mean, listen, we've all been to Walmart at some point in our life, and that's all that needs to be said. And I'm just going to leave it there.
We're going to leave it there.
Leaving.
But Sarah, how do you feel about like the importance like of the level of stress that we could take off of someone's passing by being proactive in the downloading of stuff in advance of that?
Yeah. You've got stress on both ends, I think, from the person who's passing and from the family member that's got family members that have to clean up afterwards. And I think, there's a lot to be said here. My grandfather did it in a really, really brilliant way. I could take a lot of, sort of suggestions from how he handled this, because my grandmother passed away, and when she passed away, he started downsizing because he didn't want to be in that house anymore. So he moved into an apartment. So he naturally had to downsize, right? So he gets into the apartment. Actually, I think they may have moved into that apartment before she passed. I can't remember, and it doesn't matter. But he was there for a while and doing pretty well. But you kind of know, like you can usually tell when someone is getting to a stage of life where they know their days are numbered, or they feel like they know it's time to do something. And he was very, very proactive in that. He started, he called a bunch of us in. He's like, "Hey, I'm getting rid of some things, and I want you to come up and look at them and see if there's anything you want." So I went, I don't know if my husband was with me. One of my sons was with me. My uncle went up there. My cousin went up there. I think she might've gone with me. I can't remember, but we went up there, and he had already gone through the items in his apartment and like boxed up things and set out things for us to say, "Do you want this? Do you want, like, here's things you can choose from, not just go through my house and, but here's what you can choose from." And so, and he, of course, he's trying to get rid of things. So he's trying to, "You sure you don't want this? You sure you don't want that?" He's trying to pawn things off on us. He did that. And then I want to say I don't know if it was a few months later, a year later, or something like that. He had decided he was going to move into assisted living. So there was a good time gap in between there. And he said, "Okay, I want you to come look at some more stuff." Here now we're like basically dumping stuff. And so he had us come through there again. And then he pretty much got rid of everything except what he was taking to his assisted living. And he took the basics. He took just what he needed. He didn't cram that. He was very, very proactive in, "I don't need this stuff. I can't take it with me. I'm done with it." And so by the time he was in the assisted living, he had already disposed of everything he needed to. And we all got our favorite things. I got the sugar bowl. The only thing I ever wanted from my grandparents was this sugar bowl that always was every house, because they moved a lot. And it was a kind of a running joke in the family. But this sugar bowl was always on the kitchen table, every house they ever lived in, since I was tiny all the way up through, high school. And there was just a sentimental significance to me in that sugar bowl. I didn't care about anything else, but I got the sugar bowl. But I got some glasses, and I got some, artwork that my grandmother loved. And I got some things that my mom had given my grandmother, stuff like that. But, I just think it was a very, like, he knew it's time to do this. And sometimes I think that might be more of the male, version of things that I think, and this is not always the case, but I think sometimes women, we do tend to be more sentimental. So we do tend to hold on to things. I know that I am that way. I've spent years, kind of teaching myself not to be that way, and how to separate emotional ties to things and how to let go of stuff. I've had to teach myself how to do that. But yeah, I love that. And so I think, to answer your question, I think, there should be a conversation. People are having conversations about funerals and burial arrangements and things like that. People are having conversations about powers of attorney, about living wills, about, DNRs and things like that. So while we're having these uncomfortable conversations with loved ones at any age and stage, earlier is always better than later, in my opinion. Let's have conversations about stuff and about
Yeah,
but it's
because
hard.
that's the
Yeah.
part that's really a burden for people.
It's a huge, and I've done it twice, Lori, and it's a huge, huge burden. I did it with my mom. I did it with my dad, and was eye opening. That and literally having to do that with both of my parents is what. It's how I got into Swedish Death Cleaning. It's what made me go, oh, I don't want to leave this for my kids. And just seeing like my in-laws, my father-in-law passed away, and it's funny. I had mentioned casually, just trying to get it in there, to my mother-in-law a couple of times about Swedish death cleaning, like, hey, there's this thing and people do it, which she was never open to. She's a hold on to her stuff, but she recently had to move. She sold the house and she bought a smaller. She's downsized, and it took a lot of, you know. A lot of work, a lot of different people. There was a lot of logistics involved in trying to get her downsized to where she could move and sell her home and all of that. And I only mention that to say, this is just such a common thing. And I've seen it happen. And so it's not always when the person is deceased. Sometimes situations happen when we're older. You have 30, 40, 50, 60 years worth of life in your space. Someone has to do that. And she couldn't do it on her own. Right. So there was not just family members, a lot of outside people had to come in and help with this situation. And so it does become a burden that's not sometimes just for the family members, but it can be a strain even on people in the community, depending on what's going on. And so this is not a light subject that we have to just, oh yeah, we should do that. We should get rid of some clutter. Like you can watch declutter videos all day long on YouTube, right? And they're fun and they're great. And there's some good tips out there, but like Swedish death cleaning it's not just something that you do where you go clean out, items that you don't need or use anymore. It really is a mentality of, I'm not going to be here forever. And once I am gone, who is going to have to come in and deal with the mess that I've made? And no pun intended, like who is going to have to come in and handle all of this? Have I organized my life? Like, am I being defined by my stuff? Have I organized my life in such a way that, that it's going to be easy or difficult on the next person that has to come in? And when you talk about people that don't have children, who comes in, where does that get left? I know people who don't have children, and it's sort of like what happens with their estates when they pass away, and there's no one who comes in and has to go through all that. And I think there's so many reasons why we should think about coming in and looking at our stuff from a different, because that's what this is. This is looking at your stuff, not from your perspective, not from your emotional needs, but looking at your space and your items and what you have from the perspective of other people, children, cleanup crews, whoever, like people who imagine that you're already gone. Look around your space. Imagine that you're no longer here. Who is going to have to deal with this? What are they going to have to deal with? Will it be easy? Will it be difficult? Will it be a waste? Will it be a strain on them, a stress on them? Will it be a financial burden on them?
Right.
Because you're hiring dumpsters to come in. I mean, they're not cheap, and sometimes you have to have multiple ones. It depends on the situation. The hours that you spend going through boxes, because people, unless you just have a situation where the person hated you and they want to burn your house down, most of the time you're going through those items carefully because you don't want to accidentally throw out something important, or you're trying to take care of that person's stuff. It can take weeks and months sometimes to go through someone's belongings. And think about the emotional strain, financial strain, physical strain. There's so much that goes into that. And if we're talking about things that you are not adding value to your life, that you don't use on a daily basis, or that you don't need to use on a daily basis, maybe you're using these things, but like just as a simple example, you don't need 7 spatulas, right? Nobody's using 7 spatulas at one meal each time you cook. And like, so, there's the minimalist people who get really super minimal. And that's not for everybody. But then there's also I'm holding on to this. I could open this drawer right next to me, Lori, and I'm not going to, because I need to go through that. There's like half that drawer could be my office my office needs some Swedish Death Cleaning here. But, there's the things that we're holding on to that we don't really truly know why we're holding on to them. And for whatever reason, we can't get rid of it because I might use it later. Oh, because this is really good. Oh, it's a perfectly useful thing. Or so-and-so gave it to me. Or those are not valid reasons to keep things. But we've convinced ourselves that they are. And I think then you get overwhelmed, and that's when you shut down. And that's when the closet becomes the thing you don't go into because it's full of boxes and you can't access what's in there. And so you can see how it just builds and builds and builds until it gets out of hand, and you don't want to deal with it. So you leave it for the next person. And I mean, the whole idea of Swedish Death Cleaning is to not leave it for the next person.
Yeah. To be responsible for your imprint of your life.
Yeah.
And it's to the end, to the wrap up. You know what I'm saying? Right. And I love the notion of it. I love a notion of, get her done. Close the door. Take the things. She was down to the minimum, and it was all stuff she loved. We like it or we don't. Boom, we're out of here. Not this going through and like you said, 7 spatulas. And that category is ridiculous. I don't know how many staplers my dad needed. I don't know that he ever, said I collect staplers, but it would appear. But I will show you something cool though, because not much that I kept. But this stapler, because look at the color on this.
I love that color. It's a lime green for any limeish avocado. For
and it's got this cool.
Listening.
It's detailed out. It's like an old. What are we? Are we in the 50s here? The 60s?
That's one of those big, massive,
It's an ace liner.
It's the ones that you bang down. It's the one you're not grabbing it and squeezing it on the paper. You just got it on the desk and you put something under it and you slap it. It's a 100%. Slapping stapler. It's kind of like a gavel stapler.
We're slapping it.
We're slapping it. The slapper.
And I had to laugh because I kept the stapler because I was sort of getting overwhelmed with how many staplers and how many boxes of staples.
Oh,
okay.
Yes.
It's like, was he moonlighting as a collator at some point in time where he had to do massive documents and be the stapler? Did he just forget where he put them through all the years? Because I found 14 boxes of staples. Okay, so
oh man, so many similar instances with my, not with staplers, but with my dad's stuff as well. Yeah, so you're like, wait, here's another one. Here's another.
Yeah,
one.
I had to keep a stapler just because it'll make me smile every time. Thinking about that and scissors.
Oh, but you can never have too many scissors. I may be a scissor-aholic.
No, you can. Your kids, if they got to go through your scissors one day, they'll just be like,
listen,
okay.
Scissors are super useful and they walk away. Scissors are one of those things that you could have 50 and the next day there's only 2. So
I found 17 of them in Dad's bedroom.
I knew I liked Ed. Are they different sizes?
100% different sizes.
Oh, Ed, listen, Ed, you're my guy. Soul Ed.
So now I did keep a pair.
That in his card. I've got a card I'm sending him. I'm going to mention scissors.
Okay. So. I kept a pair that are awesome. But listen, I
love scissors.
But the point is,
what does that say about me?
I don't know why we all have our little things, and we probably should leave some of those things around for our kids to make fun of us for, because that's essentially what's happening.
Well, especially if it's
I,
something that's a trademark of you. You could leave the little things where the people are coming behind you are going to go, "Oh yeah, that was mom." Oh yeah, and they're going to love it. And they're going to laugh, and it's going to be a great thing. But don't leave everything like that, because then they're going to get
exactly.
tired of going, "Oh, that was mom."
Well, I didn't know that staplers were Ed. I mean, this is the thing.
Oh,
I would have never said, "Oh, another stapler." That was Dad. Like with my grandfather, he got so obsessed with the when they came out, they were the label makers
oh
with the
yes.
plastic tape, and you would turn the dial for the letter and
My
push it,
dad had one.
and then you
Yes.
would cut it. All right. So the thing when my grandfather passed away was the gag. And it was a gag when he was alive, but it really was a gag because we didn't realize how much he was labeling. You
My
would
dad.
see Leo P. Kelly on anything that would take an adhesive. All right. If it wasn't a fabric or whatever, it said Leo P. Kelly on it
Oh.
because he was obsessed with the label maker and he was obsessed with the Polaroid cameras. But
Yeah.
it was just the era, to him, that was magic. It's so adorable.
Yeah.
But I think that though, having gone through my mom's stuff and my dad's stuff, kind of a couple, he's downsized a few times in the past few years.
Yeah.
And of course, my sisters were more involved with knowing about a lot of his stuff because I didn't grow up with a lot of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
a lot of the sentimentality part of it for me with Dad was not there because it was only certain things that of the house where I visited the most as an adult, things like that. I
Yeah.
got it, but they had that whole growing up history deal.
Right.
And
Right.
they've been through that with my stepmom and now with Dad's downsizing 2 different times. This is kind of a third. Well, that's, yeah, I don't know. Over a couple of years. It's just been a lot. It's been a lot of shuffling stuff around. And you brought up the financial piece of it. The way we have, I mean, how many people can afford if your family, if your kids live out of state or even out of town and that's like not 30 minutes away, what do you
Yes.
got to do especially if it's a house that needs to be sold
Yes.
or if it's a rental and they have a lease that and you're under a timeline, you've got to get this stuff out. Well, if you have to fly to, 4 states away, whatever it may be,
Yeah.
it takes, and now you're in an area where you might not know anybody to come in to help you.
Yeah.
And there may or may not be relatives able to do that in that area
Well,
where your
time off
folks
work,
lived. And time off work. This is what I'm saying.
away from your family. When I went
This
to
is a big
Dad's,
deal. Yeah.
I stayed there for a month. So I flew out to Virginia and I stayed there for a whole month.
That's what I'm saying.
And
Who can
but he
afford
was
that?
right. Well, and I had friends, I have very close friends there. So I was able to stay with them and that's very helpful. But there were 2 houses. One was mostly empty. So I didn't have to clear out 2 houses full of stuff. But, I'm there for a month, which leaves my husband here with
Right.
our children, but also my dad, because remember, my dad, we were
Mhm.
caretaking for him at the time. So we have this live-in nursing home situation in our home, but my husband's still going to work every day. We have some caregivers coming in to help with Dad, but like my husband's having to be here coordinating everything, making sure the kids get to school, making sure the caregivers are there with Dad. He's got to go to work. If something like my oldest son, had a spontaneous pneumothorax while I was away for that month. So a collapsed lung for anyone who's not sure what that is. And so he's in the emergency room, then he's in the hospital. So then, my husband's having to like coordinate all people have got to come stay overnight with Dad. Like it was a whole
That's what I'm
thing
saying.
because I had to get those houses sold. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's just a real life example of having to leave your family for a month to deal with things, that
But selling the
could
house
have
was
been
one thing. It was the
dealt with.
stuff that was inside of it
The
that took you
stuff.
so long. You could have
It
sold a house from
was
anywhere,
and I had to get help. I did a lot of
Mhm.
it myself, but I had to luckily, there were community people that were so kind and generous and willing to help. So, I had to have people come in and help because towards the end of that month, it was getting to I mean, it just was so much
Mhm. Your
stuff.
dad had a lot of stuff too, didn't he?
He had everything from his life and his parents' lives. And I mean,
Mhm.
I've mentioned this on the show before, but like he saved every dry cleaner bag, every check stub and like
Mhm.
carbon check copy, like
Mhm.
paycheck stub and carbon check copy from his parents and from himself, like from the entirety of careers. Why do you keep
I don't know,
all
but
of that? Boxes, ton. It was
it's that
insane.
kind of thing that generationally, I think we're going to start seeing the load get lightened. I don't,
Hmm.
number one, like I
Yeah.
said, it's not paper stuff anymore.
Right.
Uh, you know, um, I don't know.
Well,
I,
and I
I,
think too, I think it's like you're talking about generationally. I think that that does hit on something. Hopefully, is a little spark of hope that we that comes from certain mentalities over certain generations and ways of life. And I think we're shifting into doing things differently now. I think, things are just different in a lot of different
Mhm.
ways, even just the way that we deal socially with each other, so there's a lot of baggage that's not kept in the closet anymore. We do kind of we're a more open society. There was a lot of things that just weren't previously. And so I think, just metaphorically and literally, there's hopefully we're coming into something where we're able to let go of some things more easily. I think
Mhm.
there was kind of the mentality of keep it because you might need it. Keep it because you never know if you might need it. Keep it because this might be useful, because if you let go of it, you're not going to have it. Like there's the whole depression mentality that came
Correct.
in and
Mhm.
really traumatized multiple generations, Lori,
It did
because
because they heard the stories.
they heard the stories,
Mhm.
and they grew up with, like, their parents had been through it or their grandparents had been through it. And like, I am the youngest of Gen X. I was born at the tail end of 1980, and it still the depression impacted me because I had my mom's parents lived through the depression, but my dad, he was born just after the depression ended. So he was like, his parents were, like he was that close to it. And he
Yeah.
was born during the coming out of the depression era.
Yeah.
And so
Same with my folks.
it's all of that mentality
And then it
even
was a
got passed
war,
down
though.
to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I understand the older generations. I can understand their their emotional tie more to things because it represented, you know, such stories of lack and of privilege to have things.
Hmm.
So it was a pride and a privilege feeling that I think you didn't get rid of that. And also, I will say this too, everything wasn't so disposable. So like things were made to last
Yes.
and
Yeah.
things were easier to pass down in that seemed like there was value. It's like, oh, my grandfather had this and it still works.
100%.
And we live
100%.
now in a toilet paper, tissue paper,
Yes.
plastic plate thing that even electronics are throwaways. Like,
Oh, yeah.
like
Oh,
furniture is made cheap, even if it costs $2,000 for a sofa. It's made like
yes.
crap. I mean, everything's made to
100%.
break. So people aren't as attached to because nothing's going to turn the way things are made now. Nothing will be of antique status because it
Yeah.
won't hold up to time.
Nothing's heirloom quality anymore.
Right?
That is the best point to make, because we're all sitting on stuff that is not going to it's going to be a garbage heap. You probably couldn't pass it on a lot of this stuff anyway, because it's not going to last for the next generation or the generation
Mhm.
after that. We are buying garbage and we're sitting on garbage, and we're forcing the people that come after us when we're gone to sift through our garbage.
Yeah.
That's just what we're living with, because you're right, things were used to be heirloom quality. It was made such that you
Mhm.
could pass it down and that person could and would use it because it was useful and it was practical.
Mhm.
And we don't have, I mean, if you go to Marshall's, Ross, TJ Maxx, whatever, go to your favorite, yeah, it's fun to go shop at those stores. You can buy a whole lot of nothing in those stores that, yeah, you're going to use and maybe whatever, but it's all absolute garbage at the
Disposable.
end of the
Yeah.
day. It's all garbage.
It doesn't last. Can
Yeah.
you imagine the way they make like I have this, old secretary desk where the thing flips down. There's two little arms that pull out above the drawers, and it rests on those so you can write on it. It's like
Yeah,
an old writing.
I have one. Yeah.
Yeah, I love them. I love that. I don't know where my mom got it, to be honest. It's old. It's probably
Yeah, mine
it's
was
got
my grandmother's.
claw feet.
Uh-huh.
It's super
Yeah.
ornate.
You've seen mine, right? With the glass cabinet. It's got books at the top and then the desk folds
Yeah.
out and then it's got drawers at the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah, and mine's, I think, smaller maybe than yours, but and then the inside is like all these intricate little drawers and
Yes.
cubbies, and
I love it.
It's, I mean, it was crafted. It was like
Yes.
it was an artist piece, you know.
Yes.
And I've had it. I don't know. It was in my house as long as I can remember growing up. To be honest, I don't know if it used to be in my grandparents' house or not. I just always remember it being in ours. But the thing's probably about 100 years old now. I don't know. I don't know how old it is. It'd be fun to learn.
Yeah, I don't know how old mine is either. I know it was my grandmother had it for a long time. That's
And
all I
it's
know.
just still great. Like Mark needs to stabilize the legs a little bit because of these claw, and it's kind of heavy. But I haven't had that piece I've not wanted to get rid of,
right,
like,
right. I
because
still have the
that's,
chair that goes. That's the chair that sits next to it is the one that my grandmother used with it, and it's got
Mhm.
like the of course the wooden back has like a harp cut out, really ornate, beautiful little like design on it, and the cushion is old as I don't know what. Like the upholstery is so old, but it's really cool. You don't see that kind of textile anymore.
no,
It's
and
so
that's the thing
beautiful.
too. Things aren't worth holding on to anymore now. So there will be a big shift, but I think we bring this up, Sarah, because the baby boomer generation is in the downsize mode. And if you're, if you're a child of, and your folks are boomers or whatever, this is
Yeah.
something that you're going to be going through, or you're going through it now.
Yeah, and a lot of them a lot of the baby boomers aren't with us anymore. My mom was a boomer. She's not with us, and it's like, so people are dealing with it at different stages of life. It used to be you dealt with this when you were much, much older.
Mhm.
I was dealing with this in my 30s and early 40s,
Mhm.
which you don't think that you're going to have to deal with that at that stage of life. And so it's
Mhm.
something that we all need to think about. You think you've got time to wait and I can do this later. Or, yeah, well, I'm not have to worry about my parents' stuff for that. You just don't know, and I think it's one of those things where, of course, none of us know when we're going to go, but I think, we're seeing, people pass in their 50s and 60s now. It's, it's not just your 70s, 80s, and 90s
Right.
anymore, and
Exactly.
everybody's sicker. There's a lot of things going on, and so I think it's something that doesn't need to be put off and delayed. It
I
needs to be
agree.
dealt with now.
And I think ultimately it just is it takes a lot of weight off, even if you don't really think about that stuff,
Yeah.
knowing that that's something that I don't have to be a future trauma, it's going to
Oh,
be
yeah.
manageable, because it's already going to be hard. But if it's a
Yeah.
nightmare, is it borderline traumatizing to go through all this,
Oh, it
Um,
is. It
and
is.
it's the emotion now. It's the sentimentality towards the person now, and you're like, oh, and you can't hardly be convinced that they're not there watching you, and you hear their voice going, "What are you doing with my stuff?" Or "What do you do?" It's just, you can't hardly help that. I mean, I suppose there are some people who could just, that's not a switch that's going to go on. Okay, but I think a lot of us feel that,
Well, also be careful. Like, I just want to say, because everyone has skeletons in their closet, or everyone has something that, is private and personal to them, or something that they wouldn't necessarily broadcast. And some things that people have are worse than others. And I would say also be very careful. Like, do you have anything? Well, you talk about traumatizing people. Yeah, there's the trauma of going through people's things, but do you have things that somebody's going to find that really could traumatize a family, that really they're going to have to get, when you pass away, you don't know who it is either. You don't know. It could be your children. It could be extended family. It could be friends coming in to help Your
Right.
family, it could be strangers that you've never met. You don't know who's going through your stuff. It could be a yard sale. They may just open up boxes and put a yard sale out and not even go sort through the things, the thing. So you don't
They
know.
could be stealing your diaries and making movies off of it, and you didn't even know.
But I would say, do you have anything that you don't want anyone to find, that you don't want to be remembered for? You
Oh,
probably want to
Sarah.
go through that right now. Let me just PSA of the day.
Don't traumatize from the grave.
It's
Okay.
not only hard drives that get people in trouble. Sometimes people are still holding on to actual concrete items that they probably shouldn't have in their house. And it's just, you think about it. Think about the grandkid. Think about the 8-year-old kid that was going through, somebody's box and found, Mommy, what's this? And, now you've got to explain some. I don't know. I don't know what the situation's going to be. Everybody's different, but you just want to be mindful of these things, I think it's.
Is that like the old thing, my grandmother always said, she's like, you got to wear clean underwear in case you're in a car accident. It's that sort of category. You don't want to be caught. You don't
know your legacy.
Dead.
You don't even want a legacy. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't even want to be caught dead with this situation in the hands of somebody else. Okay.
Yeah. You want people to remember you how they remember you. Whatever facade you put on for the world, like let's go ahead and keep it going. To drop, let's not have that mask drop after death. But that's
hilarious.
It's a thing. It's a thing, Lori. Because I think because people forget about things too. And I just think.
Okay, Sarah, sometime off air, I'm going to have to know what you found.
I am thinking generally, as far as how I'm thinking about human beings in general, and I'm thinking about humanity. I'm thinking about what could be out there. But I'm not going to lie. Like, I found some things that were disturbing, which makes me think that's got to be more common than not.
I'm sure.
And I think because think about even if it's not something incriminating, and I didn't find anything incriminating. Let me just put that out there. But even if it's not, so I think. Well, think about all the things that you forgot that you have, or that you don't even remember, that like you should think about after you die, your stuff. You should think about, okay, if this was going to be broadcast live on national television or streamed on Netflix, or a YouTube live segment, every single thing that was in your home, what do you not want out there? Because maybe it's time to go purge, especially if you don't even remember that you have it. It's probably time to let go of some things that maybe are bogging you down too. So.
Oh man, that's rich. But it happens, right? It's just like there's some scarring happening.
It does.
Like I don't need that image,
I know.
All right. Now,
well,
listen, this show is about moving. I pretend like you have to move into it. Even if you're not going to downsize, pretend like you are. Pretend like you got to get out of your house and you got to move into half the amount of space. Like, trick yourself into this reality that will probably be a reality at some point, even if it's not right now. And just do yourself a favor by not worrying about being a burden. Everybody always says, I don't want to be a burden to my kids or this and the other thing. It's like, well, that's one of the reasons that it's probably one of the few that you literally could be a burden, and it would be because you're not there, and it's your stuff burden. Is now just nothing but representing a lot of weight, but with you attached to it. Thanks. It's horrible. It's
that's
not
the
fun.
Memory that you want to leave behind for your grieving, right. Family and friends. Either is now that they had to go through and deal with all this on top of that. Let them remember you in the way that is healthy and good for them, and to ponder those fine memories, and to be able to, think about things and not be so burdened with not only the stuff that they've got to go through and get rid of in your home, but the paperwork that they have to go through, and all the documents and all the because anytime someone passes, even if you have everything really organized and ready to go, there's still a lot of processes that you have to go
Yes.
through. And depending on what state you live in, there's going to be, probate court. There's going to be so many different things. And it's already, no matter what is going on in your house, there's already a lot of stresses. There's already a lot of, I don't want to say hassle, but for lack of a better term. And then to come after dealing with all of that and funeral arrangements and just the loss of it all anyway, to have to come in and now here's an entire
Here's
life's worth of
stuff. Yeah.
stuff. And most people are working their 9 to 5 jobs, so they're having to do it in the evenings and on the weekends. And imagine, so we have a friend who passed away at a young age and from cancer. And, he had a condo and that he owned. And so, he had a grown child who was not really not much in his life. And so it was his mother and his brother who had to come in and go through his things. And I mean, just unexpectedly. And so just imagine, and they're having to go through all these, and they're having to get it pretty quickly, right? Because they've got to get everything out of there. Think about somebody living in an apartment. Think about somebody
Right.
where you are actually renting, and you have to be out by a certain time, right? And the stress of, I'm having to make emotional decisions on a timeline and deal with all of the stuff that's going on in my own personal life at the same time. It's so overwhelming, and it's not just a burden. I mean, I think really I'm going to be really bold, Lori, and say, because I take this into account too for my own self when I'm doing this, when I'm doing the Swedish Death Cleaning, when I'm thinking about it, it's a very selfish thing that we're doing, holding on to things that don't have value for us in our lives that we could get rid of. It's a very selfish thing to leave all of this to somebody else to deal with. If it's my stuff, if it's my life, if it's my baggage, both metaphorically and literally, I need to deal with that. It's not my children's. It's not my friends. It's not my husband. I can't imagine leaving this just to a spouse either, because thinking about that, they have to deal with all of that as well, and so, and some people have more than others. And so I think it's very selfish to keep all of these things and hold on to all of these things that if I'm not going to be willing to deal with it, if I'm leaving it for someone else to handle and I'm putting it on them, oh, it's fine. They'll take care of it after I'm gone. I'll be gone. I won't care what they do with it. Why am I leaving it for them? They don't want it. They don't need it. It's not healthy. I think that it is a very interesting attitude that we need to analyze in ourselves. This sort of accepted behavior of leaving stuff for other people to take, accumulating things for ourselves and then leaving it for someone to clean up and deal with after we're gone. And that's really, I think, the foundational mentality of Swedish Death Cleaning is that your goal should be not doing that. Your goal should be, I'm going to be the cleanup crew for my own stuff instead of my kids being that. That's the whole. So if people want to know what Swedish Death Cleaning is in a nutshell, it's instead of leaving it for people after you're gone, you're the one that's going to deal with your own stuff. So you get to do it before you pass. You get to have everything, neatly organized and taken care of. And it takes a weight off of you, I think, so that you can enjoy, whether you have 10, 20, 30, 40 years left of life, whatever, you can enjoy those years so much more because you're not bogged down by it. And you know that you're leaving the people behind you in good hands. And
that's
you
a
can
huge
give them
gift.
Instructions. Yeah, you can say, hey, these boxes in the garage, I'm hanging on. Here, these 4 boxes right here. I've hung on to them because it's something, whatever. But when I'm gone, you can mark them. When I'm gone, you can toss those. These go to Goodwill.
That's what I'm
gone,
saying.
or you can burn this. Or
just some instruction so that you're not there holding all the baggage and then the guilt baggage.
Yeah.
It's like,
but don't leave everything. Don't go here.
This is a huge gift, to leave, to pass on. I really feel like that's as important as leaving anything to your kids is to leave them. It's thoughtful.
And I want people to leave. This is what I want you to leave behind. I want you to leave behind a roadmap for your life. When people have to go through everything and it's not that person. You should be hanging on to things that are essentially you, things that are valuable to you and your everyday life and who you are as a person, things that really define you, things that it's sort of like these things that are quintessentially you that you love and that you value and that do add meaning and depth and to your life every single day. Let go of everything else. So you're leaving behind. So it's so much less, right? And when people come in after you're gone, they've only got a few little things, few boxes or whatever to go through, few items that they can go, and it's more of a memory lane for them of all the things that are special. Yeah. That touch their heart, that they remember. It's not all of the extra it's not the 500 dry cleaner bags that you saved for who knows what reason, because you thought you might reuse them one day. I have no idea. It's not the like 4 different vacuum cleaners from from the 1940s all the way up to the 1980s that nobody has used in decades. It's not.
And no one knew you were collecting them.
No one knew you were collecting them. It's and it's not, I mean, there's and I think I also want to leave people with this too, Lori, that we talked about photographs. I think it's hard. I'm going to say something that's probably going to upset some people.
Wait, do I need to put on the hat that makes me?
No, well, it's not salty. Well, it's not salty. It's a confession. I'm going to confess. I've never told anyone that I did this, but I just want to show that, like, and you don't have to do it this way, but I just want to show that you can't, I'm going to say this very plainly to everyone listening. You cannot keep everything, and it really is okay to let it go. There were boxes and boxes and boxes of slides, family slides. Now, I've kept a lot of photographs, Lori, but there were so many slides, and this is family history. This is my dad's cousins. This is family. I hope none of them are listening to this because I'm probably going to get a phone call. I threw it all away.
Unless they're in Vietnam. I don't.
I threw it all away because at that point there were so many things that I was going through. I knew that I would never, because you'd have to keep the projector to watch them on. I threw the projector away. Like there are so many things that I threw away that I know people in my situation would have hung on to because, well, you can't throw that away. I'm here to tell everyone listening, you can throw anything away.
100%.
You cannot take it away when you die. Likely your children can buy a new one for themselves if it's something that they're going to end up needing and you're not sure. Whatever it is. And for those who are just decluttering, if you get rid of it and 6 months, a year, 2 years later, you're like, oh, I wish I had gotten rid of that. Everything is a dime a dozen these days. You can go buy another one. If it was an antique, you can probably still find one. Like, we've got to stop holding on to things because we think that it's going to hold some value in our life at some point in time that we can't even define. We're just holding on to it because maybe. If it's a because maybe, get rid of it. Give it away. Goodwill, trash it, yard sale. I don't care, but get it out of your life, because what you don't realize about physical stuff is that it has an emotional weight. It has a mental weight. There's a load that it is holding on you, and you are passing on that same load and that same weight to the people who come in after you're gone. And so we all need to unburden. We need to let the weight go, shed the weight, because you're just going to feel better. You will never regret getting rid of all the stuff that you don't use, you don't need, and that truly does not add value to your life. And I think if we all went through our homes right now, all the things that we think are adding value, if we sat down with every item in our home and we're really honest with ourselves, I would say that probably 1 to 3%, and I'm spitballing a number out there, really are things that actually add value to our lives. I think the majority
maybe
of the
10%
things,
or less, I think too.
there you go. I think the majority of what I'm going to look around this room right now, live on the show here. Well, we're not live, but we're live to me. And I can't immediately see anything in this room right here. I'm in a,
Sarah,
200 square foot room. There's nothing in here.
Our viewers literally don't think there is anything in there.
I know. Wait, for the YouTube audience. Wait, there really, there really is. You can't see. There really is. There are things in here. So y'all just got a sneak peek of a part of the office. But I think that's the mentality that we like, no, I need that. It's an immediate, no, I need that. You don't. I promise you, 90% of the things that you have that you think you need, you do not need.
I think,
and your children certainly don't.
For sure. And I think we need to, I think the word need has to be closely examined.
I agree. Yeah.
And we have to make a new friend with different words than just need. Need is so rare what we really need. We have to get rid of that word when we do this kind of an activity.
Yeah.
Need. You don't need any of it. All right.
You don't need it.
I literally don't need anything in this room right now. I mean, to do the podcast, I'm using what I need to do something specific.
I don't even need this microphone technically. It's for quality. It's for competitiveness in the market. But technically, I don't need this $300 microphone that I'm speaking to you on. Although the sound quality is great. So,
and what I'm going to try and do, and well, there's that. There's the word with need. Really watch. Don't let yourself use that word. I mean, because a need is obvious. It's not going to be an item that you're even having to hem-haw about.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? The needs present themselves very quickly. And those aren't the things you're even talking about getting rid of. It's everything else. The stuff you need isn't up for conversation. But I think this boils down to, this is a taxation for sure on decisiveness. Decision making is a skill set, and nothing will exhaust that need for that skill like packing, sorting, boxing, moving, or having to wrap up somebody's life. The decisions just keep on. They're like one after another. Everything you touch represents a decision, and it's exhausting. Even for people who are good, quick decision makers, it will tax your brain.
Yeah. So
if you're not a good decision maker already, and you don't practice the art honing the skill of decision making, and you like to leave decisions to others, you're going to be in nothing but Dante's Inferno. You're going to go through every level of hell you can imagine with a project as this, because it just the decisions are just rapid fire. Oh, yeah. And now, would she want me to throw this away? Did she want me to throw that? Am I keeping this? Does somebody want this? Who would want this? Do I pack it in a box in storage? Do I pack it in everything you look at and touch represents a decision, if not three.
Yes.
And so you have to make friends with this process. This is what this process is really about. Is a load bear emotionally and with high skill decision making. And even for people who are pretty in check for both, it's exhausting. And you'll be wrecked for a month afterwards in some way. You'll still feel it. But if you don't have good emotional boundaries of not letting your sentimentality go wildly, like everything is tearful, you just can't get a grip, or you can't make decisions. This is literally horrible. This is going to be the worst thing in your life. And you know, and so I don't know. And if you're the person who we all have this to think about at some point in time, and I think this is where the kicking it down the can down the road mentality comes from is exactly what I just said. They blame it on it's too hard emotionally. I can't deal. Or I can't make those kinds of decisions. Like I just people will just lock up with decision making problems.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And so the third option then, or the other option, of course, is to kick the can down the road.
Yes.
And pretend like you're not intentionally hurting anyone in particular by just your lack of being able to be grown up enough to deal with it.
Right. Right. It's well said. Well said.
This is where maturity comes in, and we lack it. You got people out there 70 still haven't downsized their lives. You got people out there their kids are getting old. It's going to be taxing for them. They're taking care of grandkids, and their energy's waning. And listen, take care of your own shite. This is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And those things that are valuable to you, I promise you, I mean, there's exceptions to this, of course, but most of the things that are valuable to you that you think hold all of this value or this sentiment or, they're not valuable to anyone but you. They're not sentimental to anyone but you. And we think that like somebody's going to, oh, our children will appreciate this. Oh, but this thing right here, they're going to really appreciate. I've got to save this for, or maybe you don't have someone specific in mind, but you're looking at something going, I have to save this for the future generations. Well, there's two things here. Future generations may not care about it or want it whatsoever. But also along with that, we are living back to what you said earlier. We're living in a new day and time where things are just not passed down like that, like they used to be. People, even things of quality, young people today, it's just a different world. And there was a time, there were centuries where like things have gotten passed down. I have things in my home from the 1800s that were family heirlooms, but the younger generations, these future generations that are coming up, they don't think like that anymore. Our society has changed. Our culture has changed. Our way of life has changed. We're in a modern era that is, it does not operate the same way. And that is a hard pill for some of us to swallow. I am very much a family heirloom mentality person. Have certain things, pass it down. I would hope on the other side of this wall behind where I'm facing right now is my great grandmother or great grandmother. I think it's my great grandmother's rocking chair. I hope that stays in my family for ages to come. Lori, it might not. It might stop with me. Now I know my kids, it'll probably go through one of my boys. But after that, I don't know how their kids are going to feel about those types of things because the sentimentalities and the mentality of is changing. And
it's not even about your kids. It's about who they marry or
exactly
whatever.
And it's a world of, like you said, less people are doing less. Minimalism is still really big. But I think there's an unburdening happening too of we're just seeing a sort of a shift in the kind of the way things have always been. And we're moving into an era that is just different. And we may not fully understand what this era is going to look like, but we are in a new era. And I think while it's hard for us to mentally part with those things, we're going to have to get to a place that's maturity that you're talking about, where we can say, they may toss it as firewood after the rocking chair may become a bonfire after I'm gone. It's not going to matter because I'm not going to be here. And one day this earth is not going to be here. And the rocking chair brought certain people joy. It's been that rocking chair, I'm pretty sure, is late 1800s, if not very early 1900s. It's brought a lot of people joy for many, many years now.
Well, the stuff like that represents stories. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been used. It's been well used. It has lived its life. If it ceases to be, It's going to be okay.
It just
It's going
represents
to be okay.
stories.
Yeah.
That's what some of these things to me are. You hold on to just enough few things that you say, I
Yeah.
left you this. Your option is to have it to continue
Right.
the story, that this will evoke the story. That's why I took my son one day accidentally, and I just started telling him about the artwork that I have. I go, do you know where I got that? It just started off with one
Yeah.
piece or whatever. We ended up going around, and I told him that there was a story connected to each one of them.
Yeah.
And I didn't intentionally set out to do that just then, although I knew it was on my list someday. It's like, before he throws the stuff out or wants it on his wall or whatever, I think the reason, like, shame on me if I don't relay the story, because if he's intrigued by that story, it will have a story that he wants to keep. That's what we're keeping, is the stories.
Yes.
We're keeping the stories.
Yeah.
And stuff now doesn't represent story,
Right.
but art represents story. Certain cookware represents story. Certain furnishings represent story. I mean, can be a sugar bowl can represent a story.
Oh, the sugar bowl.
And so it's just one of those things where you
Yeah.
hold on to those types of things, but you share with your kids why you're holding on to those.
And keep a file with that. Have a little document printed up, that you have in a folder with your will and your whatever, if you've got, because we should periodically do shows on this. We've already done a show on this. We need to continue to do more shows on this, but everyone needs to have some sort of like document binder that's like ready for your people who, when you pass away, what needs to be done and all of that. Have it in there. The list of the most important things to you, the stories behind them. And also, I think when you're doing that, if you're doing a walkthrough with your family, if you're leaving them a document, however you're leaving your things to your family when you're talking to them about it, there should also be a permission slip included in that, theoretically, like figuratively,
I'm
a
not
permission
making the
slip
decision anymore. Yeah.
that says, I love this. This means a lot to me because here's the story behind it. But you don't have to keep it if you don't want it.
Exactly.
But and I think give your loved ones permission to let things go, so they're not then hanging on to things that they're not even sure why they're hanging on to it, other than they just couldn't let it go, or they didn't feel comfortable letting it go. We just have to get to a place where we can separate emotion from physical items. And I don't care what that item is. I went through, Lori, we've done 2 phases of death cleaning in our garage. The second phase, I had a keepsake box for each of my children, all 4 of my kids, that has like the hospital blanket and the armband and like the outfit they came home from the hospital in, and little whatever handmade things people gave, whatever, like from their babyhood, whatever was super special, and things that heirloom that I wanted to keep for each individual child. Well, the second phase of the death cleaning, because the first phase, I would just organize those on a shelf, didn't touch those, right? Like, well, I'm keeping those. The second phase of it, I opened up each tub, picked out only very specific items from each tub, and now I've got them all in one box for all 4 kids, got rid of the rest. Because my kids aren't going to care about their hospital baby stuff.
No,
my kids aren't going to.
Exactly.
And even if they do, like, I can leave them 1 or 2 really important, what I think is important items. I don't need 4 boxes from all 4 kids. So I had to go through artwork of kids. You save all the crafts, all the things that they do when they're little. Those things need to be consolidated to pick your favorite. Pick a couple of ones that, like, you remember the day they made that, or you remember the specific, whatever it is. You don't keep all of it. You have to get rid of it. Get rid of it. It's because you're holding on to things that A, are a fire hazard in your home or your garage, B, are collecting dust, maybe collecting bugs. They're making you feel claustrophobic. Every time you go into that closet or that room or that space, or you're trying to find something and you're having to shuffle this stuff aside to get to the thing, get rid of it. Just get rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I just feel like this is an action that actually helps, like, it's, it's like that butterfly effect thing, I think that if everybody just started to view their life like in the ways that we're talking about through these actions of stuff, is maybe, can make like a big collective sort of sigh, and maybe a way to see clearer, and maybe
Yeah.
um, a, f- a an ill feeling of, you're kicking a can when you don't really feel good about kicking the can. Like, I don't think
It
that
horrifies me.
as a parent, that's not, the government should be ashamed for kicking cans. I surely don't want to do that same kind
Yeah.
of thing. It's like,
Right.
oh, I'm having the time of my life. I'm doing the thing that I think is da 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 da. Well, yeah, that is kind of a problem, but yeah, somebody's going to come up behind me. No, this is a problem in all facets of life right now. The old kicking the can down the road
Kicking the
thing.
can.
I can, and so it starts with our families. It starts with me. I don't want to kick a can down the road. I don't,
Yeah.
I have a very small family.
Yeah.
I don't want to put it all on one. Um, you know,
Well,
I,
and thinking about like, I have so like, my daughter, there's probably not a whole lot that she's gonna, well, there, some things, whatever. But like thinking about, because I only have one daughter, and that I think boys and girls, that there's a little bit of difference there. My sons, I really have to think about not just them, but the burden. Because I'm thinking, because my oldest son is recently engaged, and thinking about the burden that I'm going to be placing on their wives, because their
Mhm.
wives will already have to deal with their own
Right.
parents and all of that. But now, like anything that I leave, I am burdening not just my children, but their
Family.
spouses, which trickles
Mhm.
into their family, because it's all familial, right? Like, your kids'
Exactly.
parents, I mean your kids' in-laws even then become it's just trickles out. It's not just you and your kids.
Right.
It does. I don't think we realize the wave that goes
Yeah.
when this happens and people are coming in to clean out. And so really that was kind of for me recently thinking too, like I've got a son who's engaged, and there's more family coming in. I've got more people coming into my life, that every choice I make, every decision I make is going to impact those people as well. And,
Mhm.
and then their children, and then maybe even their children's children. I hope to live a good long life, but it's, I just, you think about, you don't know the scope of
Mhm.
who you're impacting. And I would love for any young people, so thinking about a newly engaged couple, any young people, if you're in your late teens, early 20s even, start thinking about this now, whether you're single, whether you're about to get married, whether you're newly married. Start thinking about it now, because you can build the kind of life where you don't have to then go through later on, years down the road, and clear out a bunch of stuff.
Mhm.
You can cultivate and curate, right? A life that doesn't need a huge Swedish death cleaning. You can like Swedish death your whole your whole existence by not accumulating things that aren't bringing value to your home, to your family, to your life, right? By very intentionally being so intentional about what you bring in, how you use the things you're bringing in, being willing to share more, being more open to giving. Like, just, you find that thing that I haven't used that in 2 weeks, I'm giving that to my friend because she'll use one. Like what? But I just think there should be a mentality. Let's have a mentality shift as we go forward in this new era, and leave some of the old mentalities behind, because I hope that I'm the last of the generation with the mentality, because it was drilled into me that you've got to hold on to it, you've got to save it, don't get rid of it, you might need it. And I think that if we can, going into, I see so many young people starting out right now, let's build that mentality now when you're starting out. And then years later, if you can just create that lifestyle, you won't have to deal with so much of this. And I think it's just been dealt with for so long and it just keeps going and going. So that maybe we need to have like kind of a shift in how we approach life in general. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I think that on the other side of that is to not forget. I like the word you used just now, curate. And I think if
I
you
love that
think,
word.
I think if you, I know, but it's, can you still hear me? Because I'm
Yes.
having some mic problems. Okay. I think that if you also think of it as you are a curator for a show, you know, and the show is your life, right? And so it should show what's important to you, favorite
Mhm.
things, things that says something about your hobbies, your passions, your work that you love, your family, this, that, and the other thing. And you should only have
Yeah.
that in your house, which
Yes.
curates a reflection of your life.
That's the roadmap of your life. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's
Instead
what we
of
need to leave.
making everything the gray colors that it all comes in and looking at the magazines that everybody's buying the same TJ Maxx throw pillows. No, I think you should not save everything, but I also think you should only collect things that are truly you.
Yeah.
And then that you can attach stories to. One of the things, like the thing behind me, I don't know if people can see, there's a billboard.
I love that. It's the
That's
shadow box.
a
Yeah.
shadow box. I'm trying to shadow box a lot of stuff about my life.
Mm.
So this represents some of the music industry eras, and then there's another shadow box for the political era of running for office.
Oh,
Basically, these
yeah. I love
just
that.
have to do with reminding me that I did interesting things and I did hard things, and that's what they represent to me. So they're my favorite things, and there's a
Yeah.
million stories within these shadow boxes. And I've asked my son, I was like, is this something you would want? You know? And he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Because I gave it more value by making it more of something that other people would maybe see if he were to ever hang it. And he may change his mind. It might end up in trash. But I have still a ton of music industry stuff. So I asked my niece, I was like, if I was to make another one of these, would you want it? And she's like, yeah. I said, be serious because I'm trashing it. But if it's something
Right.
you want, then I'll make one, you know?
Right.
So I think that's another
Yeah.
way to start living your life. When I travel now, it's gotten so cheap to make the photo books.
Hmm.
I'm going to start just making them in books and
Yeah.
not and getting rid of the other
Well,
16,000 photos from
or
when
a
I
hard
travel.
drive, like I can't access mine quick enough to show our YouTube watchers and listeners, but you can buy those external hard drives, and if you've got a bunch of things that you want to to save and digitally like that, you don't even have to leave books around. I've got a ton of photo albums, and sometimes I'm like, what in the world? Like, I know everybody knows what these look like, but just for our YouTube audience, like the amount of video that you and photos that you can store. This is a 2 terabyte. You can
Right.
leave this little box right here, could have videos and pictures and all kinds of digital things digital scrapbook, whatever that you have put together. And all you have to do is leave them this, because we are in the digital age now. And I mentioned having a document, writing the stories down or something and having it in your document file. That's because my brain is still old school. That's because I was born in 1980, right? Like, but everything is digital, and you're sitting there talking about the music industry and the stories behind the things in the shadow boxes. We don't even have to write them down. Make a video for your family of you telling the stories and showing the things or whatever, everything. And you can get something smaller than this, but this is a 2 terabyte external hard drive that this would probably be more than what somebody would need. And that's all you have to leave. You can tell them every story. You can show them everything. You
Mhm.
can do a slideshow. You can do a scrapbook. You can do so much that
I think it's
if they,
great. That's
yeah,
not any way I would ever do it, but I think for a lot of people, it's the greatest idea. I
but could
wish
you
I look.
imagine that? Because
Yeah.
they can store, you can have this, it's easy to store it, take with you, keep on you. If your house is on fire, you can
Mhm.
have it with you when you come out of the house. Like maybe your mom left you this, your cousin left you this, whatever. Think about if they want to access this, if they want to see the memories, if they want to
Right.
hear the stories, pull this out, they plug it in, they can do that. Whenever they're not even thinking about it, or they don't have time, or they don't feel whatever, this just stores away. It fits in your pocket, literally. So I think
Yeah.
that's
For me,
maybe
though,
where our
that is the
mentality needs
whole
to go.
that what you just said is why I wouldn't do it. It just stores away. It
Well,
doesn't. It's not a
yeah,
noticeable story, and people will just forget it. Like
true.
I would
But I
never.
think that's where we're going. Unfortunately, Lori, I think it's the stuff that is bogging people down to a point that, like, I think it depends. I would keep the thing. I want the photograph, which is why I have boxes of photographs in my closet.
Yeah. Well, I'm not suggesting I'm going to make a
Um,
room full of these. I'm
Right.
just
No, no,
saying
I
that.
love what you're doing, but I think I was just mentioning like the stories behind those, so they're not forgotten. We can leave, we can write them down too, but like telling like all everything that's in this. Here's what happened here. Here's what happened this day here, and then you're beautiful. It's like this podcast because you reminded me of that, and I think about this all the time, because you thought about it first, and I never even crossed my mind that the things like this podcast that we're doing is a legacy. It's something that we're leaving for our posterity. So our children, grandchildren, great grandchildren, whoever can still hear our voice. Now if they've got YouTube, they can see our faces. I
Yeah.
wish I had this with my grandparents. I had intended to tape record. That's
Mhm.
again, I'm old. My grandmother telling
You're
all of the
killing me over here,
stories.
by
I
the
know
way.
all
You're
of the
so
stories.
killing me with your
Well,
age digs.
to a lot of younger people listening, they're like, tape record. What does that mean? Listen, all of my middle age and up people,
God.
you feel me with tape record. I know you do. But I wanted to record her talking about her farm stories from growing up on the farm, because she used to tell all of these stories. She used to talk about all of this stuff. And I'd try to write it down. And then I would get like, one day I'm going to do this. One day I'm going to do that. And those are the things I want to keep. I've got the sugar bowl. Yes, I don't need anything else. And I think, but I like what you're talking about, consolidating. You've got shadow boxes. People can use hard drives. People can use so many different, you can do a podcast. You can do a YouTube channel.
Yeah,
Get
I'm for it all.
creative.
I'm
Right.
for whatever work for whatever you want to do
Right.
that minimizes the bulk of the thing
Yes.
that emphasizes why that was important to you, which may become important stories for your kids and for their posterity.
Right. Get
And
creative.
but I feel like the reason I like it to show is because
I love
it's
it.
obvious and it might invoke a question, because while we are in the technical age, that's the same reason I feel like people aren't that interested in family stories anymore, period.
I agree. Yeah.
So
Oh,
if it's
100%.
a backup drive thing that just sits in a drawer, they
Yeah.
would have to be so motivated to be in the mood for family stories. And I see that as just not where we're going.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Sadly, that's
Unfortunately, that is where we're going with a
yeah.
lot of
So unless
things.
something's sitting on the
Distractions.
wall and it's literally on a table or it's really on a thing and it's a bookcase that might be browsed and go, oh, it's like, then go, oh, and then the curiosity
Right.
does kind of start firing up again. I don't feel like
Yeah.
that's just that's my hit,
Well, I
you
think the
know?
stories would go on the flash drive for me, or on the hard drive, where like when they're looking at the shadow box and they're seeing, what was this from? What happened this night? Oh, but there's a cool story there. That there's a video that they can then, let's get the flash drive out. Let's get the hard drive out. There's like a video they can go watch of you talking about, okay, so
Yeah,
you want to know about the whatever, the
right,
XYZ.
exactly.
Well, let me
Yeah,
tell you what happened that day, or whatever.
yeah.
And I think just, yeah, anything that anyone can do to provide something meaningful for the generations to come, without holding on to boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff.
Exactly. Because I always just think in terms of what can I leave behind that could invoke a conversation, a story, and making people have a laugh. Or
Absolutely.
or be a story that might go, might inject some inspiration somehow, because those are the stories that I like from, the stuff that I've heard from my family or whatever. And certain iconic pieces remind me of that, then remember the stories, and that's all that this is about. It's never about the thing, the stuff, it's about life. It's about, I need to curate my own life and how I wrap it up and hand it off to somebody else. And if you'd like to continue any stories about my curated life and add it to your curation that you're building, good on you. And if you don't, I'm out. I'm done. I don't care.
That's it.
You do you. You have your feelings about it, and you or not. That's it, right?
That's it. That's exactly it. And I've seen some, I don't know if they consider themselves minimalists, but I've seen some people who doing videos on YouTube who talk about a minimalist wardrobe and how they'll show you how to do like a capsule wardrobe.
Mm-hmm.
But as I've watched some of these videos, Lori, and this is what I think is easy to get into, they have a summer wardrobe and a winter wardrobe, and they only put certain things in their closet at certain times of the year, and they have all these clothes that they actually store. And I'm like, wait a minute, that defeats the purpose of what it means to pare down, use the basics, be efficient with what you've got. And so I think if the mentality is, well, I'm going to pare down to this, but I've got this stuff over here in storage that I can bring out. It's like, no, the stuff that you're boxed up that you're not using is the stuff you need to address. The items that you're using every single day or every single week, set those aside, because you're actively using those, and that's valid. And somebody can go and toss them after you're gone, but that is something you are actively using on a daily basis. All the stuff that you're not accessing, that you're not using, that's providing no efficiency for you, that you're just hanging on to, that's the stuff you need to go through and start getting out of there and start sorting, because that's the stuff that gets left behind to everybody that's going to bog down. You're going to have to wear clothes. You're going to have to use dishes. You're going to have to, we all have things, but there are things that we're using every single day, and there are things that we are saving for another day. And I have my entire summer, spring, winter, fall wardrobe in one closet. And I don't want to have to pack up clothes and store them away because they won't all fit in my closet. Everything I'm going to wear should fit in my closet. And if it doesn't, I have too much stuff. And that's just one example of many ways that we can go through and pare them down. Again, back to the spatulas. It's like, how many cooking, I did a whole kitchen drawer clean out a few years ago.
And I was a caterer. Okay. In my defense, but
it's scary how much of that stuff you have.
Oh,
it's scary. Now, I have 4 spatulas, but I will tell you this. 4. We use them daily. And when there might be one in the dishwasher or one in the sink, and there's one, I could probably go down to 2. I will say I
have different sizes, Sarah, different purposes.
I do too. Well,
chef, come on.
I do too. But it's all about and I mean like I'm talking about the big ones, but practicality, I had to go through, I had a strawberry core. That's great. No. I don't use strawberry cores. I take a knife and I hold the thing out, or strawberry huller, or whatever you want to call it. Like I get rid of those. Listen, Pampered Chef gets people in trouble because you're buying all these cool little gadgets that
you never use.
You don't need. But even if you're using it, can a paring knife do the same job? Toss the extra thing. You're going to use the paring knife for a lot more. We don't have time to go into, because I could do a whole show, Lori, where I go step by step and help show people how they can do this in their lives, how they can actually go through room by room, drawer by drawer, space by space, walk through how you make the decision. And what, we don't have time to go through that in this show, but it's little things like that. I think we don't really realize the amount of things that we are holding on to that literally are useless. They are taking up space that is they're just sitting there, and it is such a waste. And I think even we don't realize the mental load when you open a drawer and it is very cluttered. There's a mental load that even if you don't recognize that, or you don't necessarily feel it in that moment, you're like, oh yeah, there's thing, and you never thought about it. In the background, there often is a mental load,
There is.
knowing that there's stacks in there and it
And
needs
you
to be
don't
cleaned
appreciate
out.
it. Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't appreciate it till you offload.
Exactly.
You
Oh,
have to offload
exactly.
to really and it's brutal. It's brutal to do it, but there is a benefit. And I'm
Yeah.
just going to say this before we wrap up, because we have to. You and I
Yeah,
will
I
get.
know.
And I've gotten, when you're talking about what you need on the daily basis, I got that down to fit into a van.
Yes.
Because if you're living in a van for 3 months, you've addressed not just a week or whatever, you've addressed what you need daily as a lifestyle, you know. And it's a really great, man, it was a great exercise to then come back in from that to then get at a whole nother perspective for me. But I will say too that go and listen. It's way down there, up
Yeah.
there, down there, earlier, because we've been doing these recordings for a long time now. But
Yeah.
we have one called Too Much Stuff, I think it was called.
Something like that. It's one of our early shows in
That's
the
what I'm
first
saying.
year of our
Too Much Stuff,
podcast. Yeah.
where we talked about this. We introduced the word Swedish Death Cleaning. we enjoyed.
I blew Lori's mind with the
Yeah,
new
because I hadn't heard
concept
it.
she'd never heard of.
I was like, I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I like those words. It's weird, but it is a thing. There's books on it. You can look it up, and you'll get stuff that'll come up on a search, and it'll be a lot of
Yeah.
different things, from services who do it to what it is to
Yeah.
tips about the mentality behind it. And if this is something you're going through, I would suggest doing that, because it's just not piddling around. Let's do the surgeries, let's just make it real. Make this mental anguish worth something at the end. Don't Mickey Mouse around
Absolutely.
about it, and sometimes it does take a couple times of going through this, but you need to do one, feel like you're doing some heavy motion, some heavy lifting, to really get the sense of the relief that this can bring.
Yes, 100%. It is
Yes.
a relief. That's the word. And peace. It is going to offer you a certain amount of peace. And
Mhm.
I'll do something for our listeners, Lori. I'll just go ahead and do this. If anyone is interested in this, if they're struggling, or if they just don't know where to begin and they're interested in doing this or learning a little bit more, send us an email, the2TWO broadcasters@gmail.com, and I will send you a quick start guide. I will put together a little bullet list to help you get started, and to give you some pointers and things that you can do, that you can take into your beginning Swedish death cleaning. So yeah, send us an email. Let us know that you would like the Swedish death cleaning quick start guide, and we'll know what that means, and we'll send that to you.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Right. Let's go clean it out, kids. Bail it.
Yes.
Literally, it is a weight, not just in your garage. So it's a great thing. I can't say enough good about it. And I can't also say enough about how horrible it is to do it. But it has its merit. That's for sure. There's a light at the end of that tunnel. That's for sure. And,
pace
we're going to
yourself.
see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you don't want all that crap passed down and people talking, leaving like, man, she left her life in a mess. Well, it was a mess. This is a thing that gets part of your legacy. There's
also a release there, Lori. There's a release depending on your situation. Or again, I can't speak to everyone on a blanket statement, but like, there's going to be a release of lots of different things: emotional release, a trauma release, a whatever. depending on who you are in your situation, there's going to be maybe some final stages of grief. When you're going through your own stuff, when you go through and you start, because you're going to come across things you haven't seen in a long time. So I think it is a healing thing. It is a therapeutic thing. So it's not just for, those coming after you. It is a therapy in and of itself. And I can't stress that enough, that it will help you walk through things that you maybe haven't been ready to walk through yet, or didn't know that you needed to walk through. And I highly recommend it to anyone of any age, anywhere.
Yeah. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm at a point where I don't want this stuff to throw me into the grief realm again. No, if the stuff is that triggery, that or whatever, I'm getting rid of it.
Yeah. And I just want heaven help my children when they have to go through the boxes of Christmas decorations. But at least those are all organized and they're in one section of the garage. And if they don't want them, then they can just take they're in green and red tubs. So they're color coded for Christmas decorations. So all they have to do is get rid of them. But I have a lot of Christmas decorations, and then we'll save that for another show.
We all have our things, sir.
We all have our things.
Well, it's been, I'm having serious mic problems right now. So
you sound good though.
Yeah. At any rate, I just can't hear myself. I'm going in and out on myself. So it's weird. Yeah. Well, we're going to wrap it up. So
yeah, we're done. This is all you get for today, but take it to heart.
That's it. It's more than I thought I had.
I know it's a big topic, and it's one that we could continue doing. Anyone can continue doing. Start this conversation with your friends. Start this conversation in your family units, and just this is a beginning to a conversation that I hope our audience will take with them and continue on.
Yeah, I agree, and I just feel like we need to be running lean, let's run leaner.
Run lean. I like it.
Let's run lean, because why not? Why wouldn't we? Why would you want to run heavy when you can run lean?
There you go.
So we love you out there, everybody. Check us out on the socials. Make sure to follow us, subscribe to us on YouTube, tell your friends about these crazy two broads. And we love you and so appreciate you checking in with us. And we'll see you next time. We got some great topics and some guests coming up over the next month or so. And always just love showing up here. So y'all take care. Peace out.